This week on Adventist News Network, promoting World AIDS Day.
Community outreach in Germany earns recognition.
And Adventists in Australia run for charity.
These stories and more coming up.
This is Adventist News Network, a service of the Seventh-day Adventist World Church. Thank you for joining us this week.
First in the news, the Adventist Development and Relief Agency is joining supporters worldwide to promote World AIDS Day this week. ADRA is providing online resources to commemorate this year's theme, Getting to Zero. ADRA and other organizations have pledged to work towards zero new HIV infections, zero discrimination, and zero AIDS-related deaths. Some 33 million people are currently living with HIV worldwide. More than 2 million of them are children under the age of 15. World AIDS Day has been held every year on December 1 since 1988, and the initiative is seeing results. The United Nations Program on HIV/AIDS released encouraging news this year. Those affected by HIV are seeking earlier treatment, and that's making for fewer new infections.
An Adventist youth group in Germany is earning national recognition for its work among disadvantaged kids. The young people are members of The Living Room, an Adventist youth church in Mainz. The church's Equal Opportunity Project recently received Germany's Gold Hope Prize. In cooperation with local schools and youth centers, project volunteers provide homework help and tutoring services for children and teenagers. Many recipients come from tough economic backgrounds or have little to no parental support. Project Director Jessica Dietrich says this award is a testament to volunteers who spend their free time serving others. Living Room Church Pastor Ruben Greco says God is blessing young members committed and faithful to this cause. The Living Room Church is designed to provide an environment where young people can feel at home and experience God's love and a sense of community.
Hundreds of people who live in the impoverished Horn of Africa will have food and water for a month, thanks to a team of Adventist runners in Australia. The team laced up their running shoes for the recent Run Through the Night fundraiser event. The 68-mile or 111-kilometer relay race raised more than 7,000 Australian dollars. With dollar-for-dollar matching from the Australian government, $14,000 will benefit the Adventist Development and Relief Agency's effort in the Horn of Africa. Low rainfall across the region has contributed to its worst drought in 60 years. Recent estimates indicate some 12 million people in East Africa are in desperate need of humanitarian aid.
The first-century Christian church quickly grew from just over 100 members to 10 million through the leading of the Holy Spirit. Adventist lay leaders want to harness that same power in the United Kingdom. More than 200 lay workers recently attended the National Lay Bible Workers Convention to brainstorm ways to spur church growth. They discussed how to use technology and social media for evangelism and how to witness in a secular environment. Retired Associate Editor for Adventist Review magazine, Roy Adams, spoke at the conference. BUC News asked Roy to sum up the message he offered lay workers.
The focus was on the doctrine of the sanctuary, and I wanted to show that at the center of it all is Jesus Christ. If you could write one caption for it all, it would be, it's all about Jesus.
What do running a marathon and donating blood have in common? They're both ways Adventists in Colombia helped pave the way for recent evangelism in the South American country. Adventist taxicab drivers offered prayer for passengers while other church members organized a health expo. The community focus helped raise awareness of the church's presence in the community. Tens of thousands of Colombians attended evangelism meetings in Bogotá and other major cities. Church leaders there are reporting that more than 1,000 people chose to join the church.
The Adventist Church liaison to the United Nations, Dr. Ganoun Diop, brings the Adventist Church's perspective to a new book on Christian witness. The book is the product of the Edinburgh World Missionary Conference. First held more than a century ago, this conference is still considered a watershed in the shaping of mission ideology and methods. Joining us here in the studio this week is Dr. Diop. In addition to his responsibilities at Public Affairs and Religious Liberty, he also worked as an academic, theologian, and director of the church's Global Mission Study Centers. Dr. Diop, thank you so much for being here with us today.
You're most welcome.
Now, this book includes several perspectives on mission, including one from a Protestant church. So the Adventist church is a Protestant religion. So I'm wondering, why did we want a second perspective on this?
Well, the credit should go to God first. I think in His providence, and as we mingle with people, they realize that the Adventist church has a unique perspective, global, comprehensive, holistic, on several issues, including mission. So this was really the result of those encounters that they asked us to share our perspectives.
There's a tendency today to try to water down distinctions between religions, and that somehow sharing your beliefs means being intolerant of other people's beliefs. How would you respond to this?
Well, that is really unfortunate and a misunderstanding of what really tolerance is. Each world religion has its own claims, so it is not incompatible or it is not out of place for Christians to share the claims of Jesus Christ, because He was the one who made those claims. So to for example, water down the divinity of Jesus Christ for the purpose of being open to others, that is a suicide, basically, in a sense that it makes Christianity irrelevant.
Now, going back to the book, if you were to witness to, let's say, a Buddhist, what would be the first thing you would do?
Well, the first thing, before I would do anything, I will try to understand who they are, and especially their values. I think this is important. And of course, the taboos, meaning the things that they really dislike or prohibit, because this is, first of all, a matter of communication. Now, talking about the values, I would look for springboards, common ground, if you please. For example, Buddhism, they value three things, basically: harmlessness, compassion, and wisdom. These are grounds. I would start the conversation there, and of course, we value those things too, I believe. So therefore, we can start there in order to share with them what we believe is the fullness of the biblical truth.
Thank you, Dr. Diop. If you would like to read the book, visit amazon.com.uk and look for the book title, Witnessing to Christ in a Pluralistic Age.
This week on Meet a Missionary, Tanya Holland chats over Skype with a young Adventist volunteer serving in Egypt. She has this report.
I'm Tanya Holland, and this is Meet a Missionary. Today we're talking to Alex in Cairo, and we'll be speaking to him through audio. Hi, Alex. Where are you originally from?
My wife and I, we come from Latvia, and now we're serving in Egypt, Cairo, and Christian Seventh-day Adventist School, Nile Union Academy.
How long have you served there?
This is our second year here at Nile Union Academy, and we really find it fascinating here. There are so many things happening, and we wouldn't see ourselves in any other place on this planet, because we know that God has called us here.
How do you see God working through you and the community?
Last year and the year before, we have baptized 10 students, and you can imagine that out of the 135 student body population here at the boarding school, this is about 10% of the population. So we have Bible classes and classes that study Daniel and Revelation, and we can see fruits of these studies in the baptisms. We can see that God has also given us a special call to make the school better, and every single staff member here, the Western staff, they're all missionaries, and we have noticed how the school has improved for the past 2 years, and this is an amazing thing to see, and this is how we see God working through us.
Thank you, Alex. If you would like to become a missionary like Alex, please visit us at adventistvolunteers.org.
For our social media report this week, Megan Branner interviews social media coordinator for Loma Linda University, Christina Benfield, about how the School of Medicine uses blogs and Facebook to reach students.
Today in our social media segment, we're talking to Christina Benfield from the Loma Linda School of Medicine. She's going to tell us about how they've been using social media in their department. Hi Christina, how are you doing?
Hi Megan, I'm fine. How are you?
Great. So can you tell us a little bit about your blog that you've just started?
Yes. This year, the Loma Linda University School of Medicine Dean's Office started a blog for our students where selected students from each class have the opportunity to share their experiences with anybody who's interested in the School of Medicine, specifically prospective students. So this is a great chance for prospective students to see what life in medical school is really like.
So can you tell me a little bit more about how else you're using social media to accomplish your goals?
Yes, we also use Facebook and Twitter to reach out to anybody who's affiliated with us. That would be current students, prospective students, alumni, faculty, staff, or anybody else who just is interested in us because they're affiliated with the church. So we use Facebook and Twitter to do that, and we promote special events, and we post photos, and we also use that to promote the blog. So it's a great chance to stay in the loop if you're interested in the School of Medicine.
Great. So I imagine you have some goals for the future. Do you want to tell me one or two?
Our main goal right now for our social media strategy is to just increase and keep our content current. So hopefully we'd like to be able to feature more events, have more photos, and just have better ways to keep everybody involved.
Thank you so much for talking with us, Christina.
Thank you, Megan.
If you'd like to check out the LLU blog, visit llusm.wordpress.com.
Coming up, thinking of donating an old computer to charity? What you should do beforehand. We'll be right back.
As I was reading through The Great Hope, this phrase caught my attention. He went singing on his way, his countenance lit up with joy and peace. His gaze was fixed upon Christ, and to him death had lost its terrors. And when I think of this, it just lets me know that no matter what I go through, that there's hope. That Jerome and Huss, they were actually being ready to be burnt to the stake. But he says that he just thought about Christ and how good Christ was, and all fear, everything went out of him, and all he could think about was the joy of Christ. So when I think of the problems that I have and I feel like giving up, that it lets me know that if God could get him through this, he could surely get me through my problems.
For our Tech Corner this week, John Beckett tells us how to dispose of an old computer safely.
For every computer, there comes a time when it's no longer useful, but it probably still has data that should be destroyed for privacy reasons. Today we'll talk about 2 ways to do this. Don't try this on a computer you still want to use. The first method involves physically removing and destroying the hard drive where the computer stores its data. Opening most computers involves a combination of screws, latches, and cables. Once you get inside, look for the hard drive. It looks about like this. Unplug the attached cables and remove the drive. To prevent data recovery, you may want to take it apart and physically destroy the round platters inside. The second method involves using free software to securely erase everything contained on the drive. For this, I recommend Derek's Boot and Nuke, available from dban.org. Once downloaded, you must record the software to a disk that you will use to start the computer. Look for the options in your software to burn from a disk image. Use the disk to start the computer you want to erase, choosing any options needed to get it to boot from the DVD or CD. Now type AutoNuke, and the software will securely erase all drives it finds. The secure erase will take a while to finish. Before throwing it away, check to see if your school or church can use the erased computer. Be sure to include any installation disks that came with it. Otherwise, I recommend donating it to a charity or finding another way to recycle it.
Here's Erika Pooney with some ideas on how your church can celebrate Stewardship Sabbath.
The Seventh-day Adventist Church follows an approved ministry mission calendar where different times and Sabbaths of the year is designated to promoting different ministries and institutions. In this calendar, the first Sabbath of December every year is the Stewardship Sabbath. So what can a local church do on this particular Sabbath of the year? A typical Stewardship Sabbath may start during the Sabbath school time with the singing and prayers and reading, all focusing on stewardship. Where possible, the study may also deal with a stewardship topic. In a transitional period between Sabbath school and the worship service, in many places they would show a stewardship video, such as the Gifts of Heaven DVD, which can be available from the General Conference Stewardship Department. An alternative stewardship video is the Mission DVD, produced quarterly by the Adventist Mission. This resource will take you to different parts of the world, highlighting special needs of a people. In addition to this extra that you can do, the preaching and maybe a particular resource can be given during the day that will focus on biblical stewardship.
They've already been to Thailand and Taiwan. Now, Adventist young people are hitting the streets of South Africa. Gilbert Kanji explains.
We are a global movement of young people. We don't always have the privilege to be together. But once every 5 years, the youth department has set up the World Conference on Youth and Community Service. We've had 2 exercises already, one in Thailand and one in Taiwan. But from July 1 to 13, we will be in South Africa. You want to be there. It's the land of Desmond Tutu, the land of Nelson Mandela, of the Kruger National Park. It's a land of amazing discoveries. From July 1 to 6, we will be on the streets of Pretoria. We will be on the streets of Cape Town. We've partnered with Maranatha International. We will be building one-day churches in countries like Botswana and Mozambique. And that's at the very heart of what we're on about. At the very heart of being a Christian is to get our hands and our feet dirty for the Lord Jesus Christ. So come and join us. And the next part of our Congress will be actually convening in Pretoria from the 8th to the 13th, when youth from around the world, in all its diversity, in all its colors, will join together at the St. George Hotel for our Congress. Our sub-theme is Jesus in the City. Our global church in the next few years will have a focus on the cities of the world, and we will have focused training on how to reach the cities where you are. We hope you can make it. It'll be a time of change, a new beginning for youth ministry. We look forward to seeing you in South Africa 2013. Come and learn to make a difference for Jesus wherever you are. God bless you.
And coming up, Adventist Prison Ministries changes lives in South Africa.
Welcome back. Sergio Gonzalez has this week's iShare report.
Welcome to iShare, where you bring us the news. Henny Fraser from South Africa is our iShare reporter today, and he brings us a story about a prison ministry established by the Vredenburg Adventist Church in 2006. Church members visit with more than 100 people each trip, providing Bible studies and stop smoking programs. Fraser says the visits have resulted in 200 baptisms, including Fraser's own daughter, Jean Lee. The ministry doesn't stop when the inmates are released either. They are given new clothes and the telephone number of a local pastor to provide support as they start their new lives on the outside. Fraser says the prison chaplain tells church members the prison is now a model for other correctional facilities, thanks in large part to the help of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Thanks to Henny Fraser for submitting your story today. And there's still time to send us your Christmas stories. We want you to show us how you're telling your community about Christ's birth this holiday season. Send us your videos by December 12th. You can upload your content at news.adventist.org/iShare.
Willie and Elaine Oliver recently attended a mental health conference. They shared this report on how spirituality can impact the mind.
Just recently, at Loma Linda University in Loma Linda, California, we hosted a conference on mental health and wellness. Heal One Mind, Heal the World. Attended by over 500 people from over 51 countries, from every continent, except Antarctica. You know, it was a wonderful event, 15 hours of plenary presentations by experts in the field, and 35 topical workshops that people could attend. Mental health, it's a wonderful thing, and in family ministries, we're certainly interested in the mental health of individuals and family members.
The truth is that mental health is really critical to healthy family relationships. And what we've found in current research is that spirituality has a great impact on mental health. The truth, however, is that when one's spiritual life is real, when it comes from the inside, when there's a close connection with God, then that spirituality is helpful to one's mental health. However, if one's spirituality is based more on just superficial things, where it's more outside of yourself, it can actually have a negative impact on one's mental health. And so it's really important that we develop a close relationship with the divine that's real, that's pure, so that we can have good mental health and we can have strong family relationships.
Now let's hear from Adventist historian David Trimp. This week, the birth of a legendary church pioneer.
Welcome to This Week in Adventist History. On November 26, 1827, Ellen Gould Harmon, later Ellen White, was born near Gorham, Maine. Ellen and her twin sister Elizabeth were born to Robert and Eunice Harmon. With 8 children in the family, home was a busy place, and a few years after the birth of the twins, Robert Harmon gave up farming and with his family moved into the city of Portland. When Ellen was 12, she heard William Miller preach and seems to have accepted his message immediately. On November 28 in 1993, Siegfried Horn, influential Adventist archaeologist, biblical scholar, and former dean of the STA Theological Seminary, died in St. Helena, California, aged 85. He'd taught at the seminary from 1951 to 76 and was a prolific author who published some 800 articles and several books. On November 30, 1904, Washington Training College opened in Tacoma Park, Maryland, with 50 students and 7 faculty. In 1914, it became Washington Missionary College, in 1961, Columbia Union College, and in 2009, Washington Adventist University. And finally, also on November 30, but in 1950, Ferdinand Stahl died in Paradise, California. Stahl and his wife Anna had been the first Adventist missionaries to Bolivia and Peru and had served in South America for 29 years. That was This Week in Adventist History.
Thanks for watching Adventist News Network. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
And as always, you can visit us at news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next week, God bless.